By 1944, the shadow of the Third Reich stretched across the European continent. For nearly 5 years, war had raged, consuming nations and lives in a firestorm of conflict. From the frozen steppes of Russia to the scorched sands of North Africa, the world was locked in a titanic struggle. But in the West, a tense and deceptive quiet had settled over the shores of France. Here, behind an imposing wall of steel and concrete, the German war machine waited. The conflict had reached a tipping point. For the Allies, a large-scale invasion of Western Europe was no longer a choice. It was an absolute necessity. The fate of the free world depended on it. The global chessboard was a complex web of fronts and theaters. In the East, the Soviet Union bore the brunt of the German army's might, suffering immense casualties in a brutal attritional war. Joseph Stalin relentlessly pressured his Western allies, Winston Churchill and Franklin D. Roosevelt, to open a second front. An invasion of France was the only way to divert German divisions, relieve the catastrophic pressure on the Eastern Front, and begin the final push toward Berlin. The Allied leaders knew the stakes. In the secret war rooms of London, a plan of unprecedented scale and audacity began to take shape. It was codenamed Operation Overlord. This was to be the most ambitious military operation in human history, an intricate symphony of land, sea, and air power, all converging on a single heavily defended coastline. France, with its proximity to Britain and its strategic position, was the designated gateway. But where exactly should they strike? The most obvious target was the Pas de Calais. It offered the shortest route across the English Channel, just 21 miles of water, and was the closest point to Germany's industrial heartland. But Allied planners, looking at the same maps, saw a death trap. Instead, their eyes turned west to the long, sweeping beaches of Normandy. The crossing would be longer and more hazardous, but the coastline was less defended, and the nearby port of Cherbourg and the open terrain beyond offered greater strategic advantages. The decision was made. Normandy it would be. Now came the most critical phase: deception. Operation Fortitude was born, a masterful campaign of psychological warfare. A phantom army, the first U.S. Army group, was created in southeast England. Inflatable tanks, dummy aircraft, and plywood landing craft filled the fields. Fake radio traffic buzzed across the airwaves, painting a picture of a massive force preparing to strike Calais. Double agents fed carefully crafted misinformation directly to German intelligence, reinforcing their conviction. Meanwhile, an industrial miracle was unfolding across Britain and the United States. Factories worked around the clock, churning out thousands of ships, landing craft, tanks, and planes. A staggering amount of supplies, from ammunition and fuel to food and medical kits, was stockpiled. Over 2 million soldiers from a dozen nations gathered in southern England, transforming the countryside into a vast military camp. They trained relentlessly, rehearsing amphibious assaults, parachute drops, and coordinated attacks. Secrecy was paramount. The entire south of England was sealed off, a closed zone where the final meticulous preparations for D-Day were completed. As June approached, a palpable tension filled the air. Soldiers cleaned their weapons, checked their gear, and wrote what might be their final letters home. In the command centers, generals and admirals anxiously studied the volatile weather charts of the English Channel. A storm was brewing, threatening to delay or even cancel the entire operation. The weight of millions of lives and the future of the world rested on this single moment. The clock ticked relentlessly forward. The decision to go was a gamble of epic proportions, a leap of faith into the unknown, fraught with immense risk and the certainty of a terrible human cost. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to see history not just in still photos, but as living, breathing moments? We're using cutting-edge AI to transform static, AI-generated images of World War II into cinematic scenes, bringing the past to life like never before. These aren't just pictures, they are windows into moments of incredible courage, sacrifice, and humanity. Let's start with this image of soldiers on a landing craft, approaching a heavily defended shore. Watch as we add subtle motion. The waves gently rock the boat. You can feel the tension in the air. We introduce a slow, deliberate camera push-in, focusing on the determined faces of the young men. Drifting sea spray and the slight flutter of a flag in the wind add layers of realism. It's no longer a snapshot, it's the quiet, nerve-wracking calm before the storm. The muted colors and film grain make it feel like authentic archival footage, restored for us to witness today. Now look at this scene from the Eastern Front. A tank crew is taking a brief moment of rest beside their formidable machine. Our process begins by adding gentle atmospheric effects. We introduce a slow, sweeping pan across the scene, revealing the vast, unforgiving landscape. The soldier's breath condenses in the frigid air, a tiny detail that makes the scene feel so much more real. The lighting is adjusted to cast long, soft shadows, emphasizing the low winter sun. The goal is to create a sense of immersion, to make you feel the biting cold and the weary stillness of that moment. Here's an image depicting the home front, factory workers assembling aircraft. These women were the unsung heroes of the war effort. To bring this scene to life, we add dust particles dancing in the shafts of light streaming through the factory windows. A slow, parallax camera move creates a sense of depth, separating the workers in the foreground from the massive aircraft frame behind them. The sparks from a welder's torch flicker realistically, and you can almost hear the hum of machinery. The motion is subtle, designed to enhance the sense of scale and tireless effort. We're not adding action, but atmosphere, turning a powerful image into a poignant historical vignette. Consider this aerial view of a bomber squadron flying in formation. The original image is majestic but static. We animate the clouds to drift slowly past the planes, giving a true sense of altitude and movement. A gentle camera drift follows the lead bomber, creating a feeling of flying alongside them. We add subtle light reflections glinting off the polished aluminum fuselages and cockpit glass. The propellers are given a realistic, slow blur, suggesting their powerful rotation without looking like a cartoon. The result is a breathtaking scene that conveys the immense scale and risk of these aerial missions. It's about capturing the feeling of being up there, in the vast, dangerous sky. Finally, a street scene in a liberated European city. Joy and relief are palpable in the original image. Confetti and papers drift slowly down from above, caught in the afternoon light. A slow upward tilt of the camera reveals the smiling faces in the crowd and the beautiful, albeit damaged, architecture. The movement is hopeful and light, a stark contrast to the heavy tension of the battle scenes. We're using the same techniques, subtle motion, atmospheric effects, and cinematic lighting, to amplify the story and emotion that is already present in the image. By animating these AI-generated historical photos, we're not changing history. We're building a more immersive connection to it. Each scene becomes a powerful, moving testament to the experiences of a generation. It's a new way to see, understand, and remember. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the past. If you found this as fascinating as we do, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration. Let us know in the comments which historical era you'd like to see come to life next. See you soon.